are 5 of the main reasons that I didn't disclose how my mother was abusing me throughout my childhood. And I didn't disclose actually anything that was going on in my house with her until much later into my adulthood. My ex-husband was part of the reason that I disclosed. He was the shining light that went, that doesn't happen everywhere, kind of thing. So let's get into it, shall we? Well, as I just talked about, the shining light, number 1, it was my normal. How would I know that this wasn't okay if I didn't have any other frame of reference? My mother was cruel from the very beginning, and also very confusing, because behind closed doors, or out of the spotlight, so it wasn't, well, I guess a car is closed doors, or she would pull me off to the side or something like that. There was always something. In front of other people, there was nothing but, butter would not melt in her mouth, Mother of the Year, Academy Award winning performances going on. Which leads me to number 2. Because my mother looked like a good mother, if she was being mean to me, cruel to me, abusing me, all the things she was doing, and I told, then people would know what a terrible daughter I was, because they believed her to be a model mother. Which actually leads me to number 3. When I did try to test the waters, because I started to feel safe, which coincided with my being in boarding school and away from my mother, I would say pretty much the same thing, little things, but pretty much the same thing. And the word that I would use to describe my mother, to try to test the waters, was that she was mean. And do you know what I was met with? Well, mothers want what's best for you. They can't be nice all the time, kind of thing. There was nobody who was curious enough to ask a question like, what do you mean she's mean? What does that look like? Not one person. Number 4, I remember, starting at the age of 4, not coincidentally, that my reputation was that of a family liar. I don't know how many words I could have had to be the family liar. That's a pretty big title, isn't it, for a small child? I knew that people thought that I lived in an imaginary world. Well, that was true, because that's where I was safest. And that I made up stories, not true, and that I was the liar. I remember hearing one of my aunts call me that. So who was going to believe me if I told? Number 5, I didn't have the language to explain what she was doing to me. I couldn't articulate it, because the majority of the abuse was emotional abuse. And even when it was physical, it was normal-ish. Like, for example, ripping apart my room and making me clean it from the ground up. If I told people that she's making me clean my room, for example, that doesn't look like abuse, does it? Or putting me in a scalding hot bath. What if I said, Mommy puts me in really hot baths? They could have said, sometimes hot water seems hotter to kids. There would have always, in my mind, been an answer. And the problem with all of that was I would have had nothing to come back with, because there were no scars on the outside for anyone to consider it abuse. And as I say this out loud, even today, when we talk about emotional abuse, particularly if you look at the estranged parents community, what do they say? Oh, it's just drama. That didn't happen. Emotional abuse. It's widely denied, because emotional abuse isn't just one thing. It's not just calling a child a name. It's how you treat that child day in and day out, and how you don't allow them to grow and develop and have a sense of safety or security. Emotional abuse, for those of you that don't know, leaves exactly the same brain damage behind as physical and the S word abuse. Just so you know. So those are my 5 reasons, and I could probably list 10 more. What are yours?